Welcome back to Fatal Film Friday. This case is kind of be a little bit different because, the victim in this case is a child. I know I've done cases, I literally did like 2 cases where the victims were teenagers, but in this case, the victim is literally a child. Like, she literally was killed on her 10th birthday, so it's going to be harder for me to talk about this case because it is a child abuse case that did result in death. And we have a 10-year-old girl who is no longer with us, who would have been, I assume, 15, almost 16 if she were still with us. So, I'm going to go ahead and get started. But just a heads up, there are tough, rough details. So if it takes me longer than I expect, please just understand because of the severity of this case. Thanks. So Victoria was born on August 23rd, 2006 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Her mom was from the Bronx. Her father's identity was never publicly revealed, even though, like, her mom knew who her dad was, but he wasn't, like, around, so, but apparently she had named him as being, like, a Kyle Martinez, even though they had asked around the area to see if anyone knew of a Kyle, and they obviously didn't. So we don't even know if that's her actual dad. Victoria had a little brother 2 years younger than her named Matthew, who is currently living with his father, where exactly is unknown. Apparently it was revealed over a call that her mother and her mom's mom, so I guess like her maternal grandmother and her mother had a conversation, and they had mentioned that he may have been in Texas with his grandparents and the father, but we don't know that for certain, which we're not going to bother them because they're innocent. We leave them out of this. So Victoria's mom, Michelle, 2 kids, 2 baby daddies. But somehow she had custody of both of them. Her mother, Michelle, had actually started this new job, and with a brand that was a branch of Kroger's, so not Kroger's itself, but someone that is like a part of Kroger's. Never actually said like which brand it was, but okay. Life was going good until she had met this man named David. And then during March 2016, Michelle had called CYFD, which basically, for those of you who don't know, CFYD is basically CPS, which is Child Protective Services in other states. So in Texas, New Mexico, they got CYFD, whereas in Texas, where I'm from, we got CPS. And it may be CPS in y'all states too. It may be something different. But most people know it as CPS. And so, to say that David had tried to kiss Victoria on the lips, who Victoria was like 9 at the time. And so, David, when you look at his criminal record, he apparently had a history of assaulting children, even his own family members. So her mom had reason to be concerned about David trying to kiss her own daughter. David even tried to kidnap a 4-year-old in 2013 who did survive. Thank God.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Her mother has somehow crashed the car, and that's how she prevented David from taking the kid. Well, yes, she crashed the car, but moms, you gotta do what you gotta do to get these kids back. So, I applaud her for that. Somehow he was never charged with the rapes, but he was charged for kidnapping, because he did take the child without permission from the mother, who I assume was the legal guardian, but somehow those charges got dropped as well.
How, Sway?
So then, Michelle tried to get David in trouble multiple times, but to no avail.
Police! Police! Help! Police! Help! Police! Help! Help! Police! Help!
The CYFD claimed to investigate and found no evidence, which is later on believed to be a lie to make themselves look good. Michelle, as she should have, she would later dump David and ended up kicking him out of the apartment. So apparently they actually lived together, apparently. And so David was never investigated for the kiss because Michelle ended up kicking him out.
What? What the fuck?
She would later go on to start dating Fabian, who she met on Plenty of Fish. Fabian was a regular meth user and had a record back in New Mexico, where this was taking place, one of which was assault with the ex, where he pled guilty in order to get 2 years probation. He also had a record for child abuse and child abandonment. He moved in with Michelle very quickly and felt okay with bringing over his drug addict friends while the kids were at school and Michelle was at work, because Michelle was working at this time in order to take care of the kids, right? And so they would destroy stuff and obviously do drugs. None of Michelle's family knew about the relationship because he asked her to keep it a secret.
But shh, don't tell nobody.
And so Fabian had his little cousin named Jessica, who was released from jail after serving 3 years for raping a woman with an inmate, and then moved in with Fabian and Michelle and the kids. She only served like a low sentence because she was charged with conspiracy of committing rape and was sent back to jail for drugs and somehow finished her sentence and parole, which altogether for rape and drugs somehow was 3 years. And so, because she was not actually convicted of rape, she did not have to register as a sex offender and had no restrictions as to who she could be around.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
At this point, when Jessica was moving in with Fabian and Michelle, they had actually only been dating for about a month.
No ma'am. No ma'am. No ma'am. No ma'am.
And so Fabian was secretly charging Jessica on the side $50 a month in order to make money, and Michelle didn't know. Michelle was thinking Jessica was taking her for free. No, Fabian apparently was giving her some charging $50. It probably would have been higher, but I guess they were family, so she got a little discount or something as to why she only got charged $50 a month. But obviously, anyway, so fast forward to August 23rd, 2016. It is like 4:30 in the morning. Victoria was 10 years old. Victoria had just turned 10 because she was born August 23rd, 2006, so she's 10 at this point. She had told her grandparents how happy was she'd be celebrated at school. This is believed to be the 22nd, even though I read the 23rd. The next day at 4:30 in the morning, police show up after neighbors hear screams. Michelle had said to have went to the neighbors to get help because out of fear that Victoria might be dead. Jessica then tried to jump off the second-story balcony when police asked her to come out, fracturing her ankle in the process.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Jessica ended up claiming that she jumped off because of the fire, which neighbors did say is a reason as to why they called, because there was a legit fire. Officers go inside, and that's when everything changed, because they saw like what had happened inside the little apartment, if that makes sense. And so they proceed to put her in a car, but she's resisting.
Just get in the freaking car!
To which she claims again that she was pushed, but they saw her close the door. So they know that she was not pushed. They know that she jumped with her own will.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop your fucking lying.
And so then Michelle admits that there was another male in the house, but she didn't know his name. When they were inside, they went to the bathroom, which they found smoke, but also found Victoria dismembered body. Not only was she dismembered, but she had a sheet over her and she had been set on fire. Fabian, Michelle, and Jessica were all taken to the station. During a 9-hour interrogation, Fabian denied any part in her death. Jessica refused to speak without a lawyer, which obviously she has her lengthy prison record, so she knows it's best to speak with a lawyer. Michelle admitted that Victoria was injected with meth so that Fabian and Jessica could have their way with her. Michelle apparently watched the rape, strangulation, and dismemberment of her own child. Michelle also admitted that she even invited men from dating sites to take advantage of Victoria, and that there were even, allegedly, pictures taken of Victoria while she was being taken advantage of. And so reports even say that Fabian and Michelle apparently had sex within 20 minutes after they took advantage of Victoria.
I am disgusted.
And they apparently went on and made dinner like it never happened. And so the cops obviously believe her.
We'll take that as a confession.
And so, but it was later revealed to be a lie. She did it to tell the people what they wanted to hear. And so, neighbors said that they saw Jessica coming out. They saw Jessica carrying Victoria out in a blanket and assumed that she was putting her to sleep.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
But it is believed at that point Victoria was actually dead. And she was actually apparently interrupted by Michelle and Fabian's return, because apparently the two of them were not there the night the murder happened. They were not there when the murder happened, apparently. They were out getting drugs, and were out on like other parts of the city. So therefore, that's why it's believed that they couldn't have been involved. So Jessica tells Fabian, I assume, and then after Fabian finds out, the two of them try to keep from Michelle. So they go to Victoria's room and try to like clean up the evidence. And Michelle apparently goes and lays down. And so somehow, during that, Michelle is hit by a clothes iron by Jessica, causing a struggle. One source says that Jessica asked Fabian if she believed in Jesus before hitting him with the same iron that she just hit Michelle with. So then Michelle or Fabian then leave, and Jessica sets Victoria's body on fire and removes the smoke detectors. Because obviously if there's a fire, smoke detector's going to go off. If there's no smoke detector, there's no noise. So your girl was basically thinking this through, basically.
Barely.
At this point, Victoria's autopsy report comes back, which I don't know how they did autopsy because she was dismembered, but they somehow did it, and there was no meth found in her system. Apparently, there was only alcohol. However, there was an STD found called HPV, so the sexual assault claim was true. Because this is one of those STDs, you can only get it if it was sexually transmitted. This wasn't like you can get it from drinking from somebody else or kissing like mono. Like, no, you had to have had sex in order to get it, apparently. So, the rape claim was true, unfortunately. Michelle's bond was set at $1.5 million, while the other two had $1 million bonds. Because there was an STD, the autopsy also showed that Victoria was not raped the night that she was murdered, but also with the STD, they know that she had been raped at one point. So because of this, Jessica couldn't be charged with rape.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
The district attorney somehow found out that Victoria was killed between 7 o'clock and 8:45 p.m. the night of the murder. And so a new timeline was made because of this. Prosecutors said that Fabian had ties to a gang, and Victoria had to live at a home where meth was used and sold, which it was. Someone said at one point there was like a barbecue outing, and a woman apparently had beat him up, and eventually led to a random person coming in and killing Victoria. Jessica's version of the story, because we're now Jessica, she said that she was high on meth babysitting Victoria when an alleged unknown man came in looking for Fabian, but he used his street name, Favo, which, okay. Jessica said that it was just her and Victoria, to which he went in Victoria's room and had killed her. Fabian and Michelle come back. Michelle didn't check on Victoria, so Fabian and Jessica dismembered Victoria, put her body in bags, and then set them on fire. They did this because the guy that was there had said to clean up the evidence, or Jessica and her kids would be next. So apparently Jessica has kids. Male DNA was found on Victoria's back that didn't match Fabian or any of the male responders. Because they were like, oh, it could match Fabian. Trying to tie Fabian to this, right? Did match. There were male responders at the scene, so they're thinking, okay, well maybe a male responder's hair accidentally kind of got on her, which I don't know how it would have accidentally got on her back, but okay, I could see where, rule out them, make sure it wasn't their hair accidentally somehow got on her. However, it was a partial DNA, so it's difficult to make a match, and to this day, they still don't know who exactly, they don't know whose hair that is, like, to this day. And so, the attorney believes that showing too many photos of Victoria, like the aftermath of her body, would make the jury convict Fabian guilty, which, as they should.
No shit, Sherlock!
Fabian was actually supposed to be under supervised parole due to an incident where he hit the mother of his child in her eye and face, causing her to lose focus and lose control of the car, because they were driving when this happened, and the child was in the back seat. He took a deal to where he would only be charged with domestic violence and child abuse, so he would get 2 years of supervised parole. which is why I mentioned earlier he had 2 years parole. He was supposed to get drug and alcohol treatment, counseling, random drug tests, and random visits from parole officers. But he never faced any of that due to a mishap, and probation officers say that they never heard that they were supposed to watch him since they never received any paperwork of this so-called parole.
How, Sway?
Take a few.
If carried out, Victoria would have most likely been alive because they wouldn't have been on drugs. You have to do drug tests. If you fail, I would assume you would have went back to jail because you broke probation. I don't know. But anyway, if this had been all carried out, Victoria would probably still be with us. And the apartment room. Okay, sorry. And so the community was obviously shaken by the death of Victoria. And so lawmakers were trying to make it possible to bring back the death penalty.
Death to all of them.
Because somehow in New Mexico, they had taken off the death penalty, but for this specific case, they were considering bringing it back and only using the death penalty for certain type of cases. The apartment room where the murder happened at, it was considered to be shown to the jury, like, in person to accurately show how small it is, because apparently the pictures were not doing it. Like, when I mean in person, I'm talking about, like, they go into the apartment room to see for the, you view an apartment before you, like, sign a lease or anything, to see if it, like, fits your needs. They're supposed to physically step into the apartment to see how small it is, to kind of get an idea of what happened. I guess that ended up not happening, because I didn't see that they actually did it or whatever. And so Jessica ends up pleading to child abuse resulting in death, tampering with evidence, and assault. If the judge had accepted that, she would have faced 50 years, but because she had 2 prior felony convictions, that technically makes her a habitual offender, and so 20 years got added.
Damn!
Because of that. So basically, like, okay, that's 3 felony convictions, but if somehow she were to serve with good behavior, she could somehow get less than 20 years. And so, thank God, the judge ended up rejecting the plea deal. And so they can't use anything that Jessica said in her version, and they have to try to charge her for murder so she couldn't testify against Fabian. Because the plan was, if she testifies against Fabian and took that plea deal, she would only have to serve 50 years. Michelle, thank God, pled guilty, but for some reason she's only serving 12 to 15 years.
How, Sway?
Take a few.
Fabian's trial was on hold, and he was even out on the streets at one point until the trial.
What? What the fuck?
When I mean out on the streets, I'm talking about he didn't have to wear an ankle bracelet. The only condition was he couldn't leave the county except to see his attorney, which was in another county. This was even after the state had showed his violent history, and remains of Victoria were found on his sock and a towel and a washing machine with both of their DNA on it.
What's not clicking? What's not clicking?
Before he was temporarily released, Fabian had a phone call with his family in jail about going to South Carolina. While he was in trial later, the rape and murder charges were dropped, but not the child abuse resulting in death. Fabian claimed that he shouldn't be charged for that because he isn't Victoria's legal guardian, which that shouldn't matter, you still abuse a child anyway. Prosecutors tried to argue that by saying that he cooked for her, called her Mija, which apparently means daughter, and even got her a kitten.
Gotcha, bitch!
The place was even shown as a potential apartment for renting, and it even cleaned up all the evidence.
Bitch, I know you fucking lied. I know you fucking lied.
So, like, tried to make it seem like, basically seem like the murder didn't happen. But luckily the murder was pretty well enough known in that area to where people were like, yeah, no, do not rent that place out. Like, a child was really killed there. Luckily, no one has actually rented that apartment that it happened in, since the story obviously went viral when it happened, and they are not renting the place out at all. But that one apartment is not getting rented out at all out of respect for Victoria. So at least we got that. Now, apparently there were prison phone calls between, like, Michelle and her family, and so they had realized, which the phone literally tells you before you pick up, that you were being recorded and monitored, which I would know, because I've had my fair share. I've never went to prison, but I've had people call me from prison. So it tells you were being recorded and monitored. And so they didn't like how their phone calls were being shown on the news, and so how their private business being shown on the news. So they decided, we're going to speak in a secret language and see if they can decipher what we are saying. And so, Jessica even said that she was trying to make money to take care of her own kids.
Oh my God! Wow!
Victoria's grandparents tried to sue the city of Albuquerque for wrongful death, but the lawsuit was dropped due to the city not being notified prior to being sued. Yeah. So that was the case of Victoria Martins. It's definitely different. That's my first child abuse case that I've done. I can tell you, unfortunately, that's not going to be the last case I'm going to do. But I can tell you, it's harder than it looks to research these cases. Because again, at the end of these days, these were children that we're talking about. So it was harder for me to do these cases than it was for an adult. Because those were children and that they had whole lives to live. But they were taken away from them by, ironically, the person that brought them into this world. So, yeah. So that was the case of Victoria Martins. And I will see you fatal females next time. Bye.